Did you know that there was a time when one football team stood out as the most hated team in the entire history of the United States Football League? It may sound unbelievable, but it's true. As we wrap up our UFL Mini-Movie series, we're going to delve into the captivating tale of the Michigan Panthers, a team that not only dominated the USFL, but also stirred up unprecedented controversy, earning them the title of the most despised team in league history. So buckle up as we journey through the highs, the lows, and jaw-dropping moments of the Michigan Panthers' unforgettable saga. The Michigan Panthers have been an iconic name in American football since the 1980s, 1982 to be exact, when they were established as a professional football team by owner A. Alfred Taubman, a prominent real estate developer. The Panthers were among the charter members of the USFL. Taubman was a native of the Detroit area and born in Pontiac in 1924. If you don't know the name A. Alfred Taubman, you definitely know the style of building he made popular back in the day. Can you take a guess? I'll give you a hint. It's where everyone used to get their Black Friday shopping done the day after Thanksgiving. That's right, you guessed it. A. Alfred Taubman, the founder of the Michigan Panthers, is the architect behind the modern-day indoor shopping mall. Of course, these malls are now dying all across the United States, but indoor malls used to be the best place to get all of your shopping done before Amazon and online shopping. His real estate development success allowed him to put some of those profits into the new Professional Football League in 1982. He became the majority owner of the Michigan Panthers and hired Jim Spavital as the team's first general manager and Jim Stanley as their first head coach. Now, the two Jims had some experience under their belt, so the Michigan Panthers franchise really started off on the right foot. Before coming to Michigan, Spavital was the GM in the Canadian Football League for the Saskatchewan Roughriders for a few years, and Stanley was a defensive line coach in the NFL for the Giants and the Falcons before getting the nod to lead the Panthers. Now, these two Jims had some talent at the quarterback position with Bobby Hebert leading the team, but we have to be honest here. The Michigan Panthers offensive line in 1983 was one of the worst in the league that year. The good news was that the two Jims noticed this flaw early in the season and had to figure out how to shore up their offense. Needless to say, the Michigan Panthers started the 1983 season in rough fashion, losing 4 consecutive games to the Tampa Bay Bandits, Oakland Invaders, Washington Federals, and the Denver Gold. At least they won their season opener against Birmingham, right? Anyways, Michigan was on a downward slump and needed something to turn their team around. The Pontiac Silverdome saw a huge slump in attendance from 29,000 people for their first home opener against Oakland to a disappointing 11,000 people in April against the Denver Gold. GM Jim Stanley turned to owner A. Alfred Taubman and asked him to sign more quality former NFL players to help the offense. Taubman said no problem, and the Panthers brought in NFL veterans Tyrone McGriff, Tom Dornbrook, and Ray Penny. These beefy linemen made Bobby Hebert's job a whole lot easier in getting the ball to his skill players like Anthony Carter and Ken Lacey. Offensive tackle Ray Penny went on to earn all USFL team honors as he helped the Panthers offense go on a 6-game winning streak, with the Pontiac Silverdome filling up to 32,862 people in attendance to watch them beat the New Jersey Generals at the peak of their 6-game winning streak on May 16, 1983. The Michigan Panthers would go on to finish the regular season with a 12-6 record, and would end up beating Jim Mora's Philadelphia Stars in the USFL championship game at Mile High Stadium 24-22 to win the first USFL championship.
The greatest in America, the greatest football players ever. Thank you very much on behalf of the Michigan Panthers football team and all these guys out here. We love it. We'll take it home and we'll take good care of it.
Bobby Hebert, Tom Dornbrook, Ray Penny, and linebacker John Corker earned all USFL team honors, and it looked like the Michigan Panthers had a pretty good foundation to start the 1984 season. The 1984 season started off eerily similar to how they ended the 1983 season. The Michigan Panthers were dominating team after team after team. For the first 6 weeks of the 1984 season, their offense was unstoppable, and their defense held up strong. And boy, did the Panthers fans come out strong to support their team. I'm talking crowds in the 40,000 range, which was almost 200% higher than their 1983 attendance average. Things were looking great, and then April came, and the Panthers started a pretty rough slump. They lost 4 straight weeks in the month of April. May wasn't too hot for them either. They dropped 3 of their 4 games in May. 7 of their last 8 games were lost, and it felt like their momentum was officially gone. The air left the Silverdome, along with their fans, as attendance decreased towards the end of the season. You can argue that the slump of the second half of the the season was due to Bobby Hebert losing one of his best targets in Anthony Carter when he broke his arm and was out for the season. But Bobby Hebert still led the team with a single-season passing record of 3,368 yards, mostly targeting wide receiver Derek Holliday, who was the leading receiver with 1,220 yards after Carter went down. The team rallied at the end of the season, and the Panthers essentially had to win their final 2 games of the season to get into the playoffs. They ultimately beat the Oklahoma Outlaws at their home finale and beat the Chicago Blitz in Chicago at Soldier Field for the last game of the season to earn their playoff spot. The Michigan Panthers were officially in the postseason, but had a tall obstacle in their way: the Los Angeles Express. The LA Express had a similar season as the Michigan Panthers, but they had this young quarterback from Brigham Young University that was their one and only wildcard heading into the playoffs. That's right, Steve Young led the LA Express against the Panthers, and this playoff game turned into one of the longest professional football games ever played. 3 overtimes, multiple scoring changes, tons of excitement, and only a handful of people in attendance to witness this great matchup. Only 7,000 people in attendance at the LA Coliseum to watch Steve Young and Bobby Hebert square off? I don't know, but there seemed to be tons of talent on the field to miss out on this game in person. The LA Express would end up winning the game 27-21 in triple overtime, and that was essentially the end of the Michigan Panthers. Owner A. Alfred Taubman decided to merge the Michigan Panthers with another USFL franchise, the Oakland Invaders, and move the team to the West Coast in 1985. Now, here is where the story gets a little sticky. There are a couple of reasons why Taubman decided to move the team from his hometown of Pontiac to Oakland, and the main reason was the USFL's decision to move the 1985 season from a spring league to a fall league in order to compete directly with, you guessed it, the National Football League. New Jersey Generals owner Donald Trump and Chicago Blitz owner Eddie Einhorn voted to shift the USFL to a fall schedule to compete directly with the NFL. The USFL was actually doing very well in the spring. Why would they want to compete with the juggernaut that was the NFL? There is a ton of speculation on that topic, but let us know why you think the USFL wanted to leave the spring to compete in the fall. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel while you're there. Anyways, Michigan Panthers owner A. Alfred Taubman, now Oakland Invaders owner, didn't want to compete directly against his friend and fellow local businessman, William Clay Ford, who owned the Detroit Lions. Needless to say, the Panthers fans were furious with the move, and the USFL lost one of its most loyal fan bases. The fans hated that the franchise moved to Oakland and wanted the Panthers to stay in Pontiac, where they belonged. But the decision was final, and there was no more USFL football in Michigan. The 1985 season would turn out to be a pretty good one for the Oakland Invaders, even with their old head coach, Jim Stanley, leaving to go back to the NFL to coach the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Oakland Invaders finished the season 13-4-1, but lost to the Baltimore Stars in the USFL championship game 28-24. Fun fact about this 1985 USFL season, it was the first time that they adopted instant replay. This new concept of instant replay gave teams one appeal, or challenge in today's terms, for each half, and they would only challenge fumbles, completed or incomplete passes, and if the ball crossed the goal line. Another fun fact, the instant replay was only available for games televised by ABC, since ESPN didn't have the technology yet for their network. So the USFL and the Michigan Panthers parted ways until their resurgence in 2022. It took 37 years for the Michigan Panthers to come back to life. And oh boy, did they ever come back to life. Once again, they were one of the founding members of the new USFL, announced by the Colin Cowherd Show on November 22nd, 2021. The new Michigan Panthers selected longtime Rams head coach Jeff Fisher to be their first head coach and general manager. With their first pick of the 2022 draft, they selected quarterback Shea Patterson to be their first player selected for this new USFL team. The Michigan Panthers had an absolutely abysmal 2022 season, ending with a 2-8 record. Some blame Jeff Fisher for his lack of ability to bring in quality talent as the Panthers general manager. Others felt it was because their fans couldn't watch him play anywhere near Michigan. They waited 37 years to finally get their Michigan Panthers back, and then all of their quote-unquote games would be played at Protective Stadium and Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Either way, the Michigan Panthers had a rough start for the 2.0 version of the franchise. The 2023 season wasn't much better with their new head coach, Mike Nolan, ending with a 4-6 record and reaching the USFL playoffs pretty much by default. The entire USFL North Division was pretty rough, but the Michigan Panthers ended up in second place due to their 3-3 in division records. The Panthers would ultimately lose to the Pittsburgh Maulers in overtime in the first round of the playoffs last season. And And once again, after 2 seasons, the Michigan Panthers were making another big change. This time around, it wasn't a move to Oakland or merge with another USFL team, but a merger to a brand new league with the XFL to form the United Football League. The Michigan Panthers are now one of the original 8 teams of the UFL, and they're having a decent start to the 2024 season. They had some tough losses against some really good, if not great, teams in the Birmingham Stallions and the San Antonio Brahmas, both who are looking to reach the first ever UFL championship. But Mike Nolan has the Michigan Panthers working hard to get them to the top. The Detroit fans have struggled to come out to support their Panthers this year compared to their attendance back in the 80s. The attendance at Ford Field has averaged only 7,000 to 8,000 compared to the 20,000 to 30,000 in attendance at the Pontiac Silverdome. I guess we'll have to wait and see if the fans come out for the Arlington or Memphis games for their last 2 home games of the 2024 season. EJ Perry is playing well, but is having a few mistakes with the interceptions in some key games. His red zone rushing is really saving his season this year, which is nice for the Panthers offense. Wide receiver Marcus Sims is having a great season as well, with some long catch plays at the front end of the season. But the best part of this season and the Panthers team is their kicker, Jake Bates. Now this dude can kick the hell out of a football. This guy started the season 6 for 6 with his longest field goal being 64 yards. 64 yards. I don't know about you, but I know there are quite a few NFL teams that need to have a kicker like Jake Bates. He is their MVP without a doubt. Needless to say, the Michigan Panthers have come from being one of the original USFL franchises of the 1980s to leaving Michigan and their loyal fans to head to Oakland to come back to Michigan only to play in Alabama to again being one of the original franchises of the newest UFL league. They've had one hell of a roller coaster of a history, but it looks like they're here to stay for a while, and we can't wait to see what's in store for them in the future. Thanks for watching, and hit the subscribe button and hit the like button to see more of our UFL and NFL content. We'll see you next time.